Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope you're having an amazing evening. Happy Monday. How are you tonight? How was your weekend? Let me know. Okay, so if you want to know if we're live, always make sure you check out the bottom of the shows. You can see the number 1864. Today is January. You know what? I don't even know what date it is. What is it? January 26th. There you go, 2026. And come interact, come say hello. And we do have topics for today. Don't forget that Journey Live is all about motivation, being here for each other. We've been doing this for 17 years. So I think maybe just when YouTube started even, and of course Miami TV, that's when we started. So I hope you're having a great day and join us. If there's any questions, if there's topics within those routes of life and motivation, that is what we're here for. Or paranormal, of course. We love those as well. ¿Cómo están, amigos? Muy buenas noches. Espero que estén muy bien. Bienvenidos a otro Jenny Live. ¿Cómo fue su fin de semana? ¿Qué han hecho? Aquí en Tulum está lloviendo. Lo bueno es que tenemos tanta selva de que por lo menos se riega sola. Así que eso, cuando llueve yo toda alegre. Sí, no hay que regar, digo, 20.000 plantas. Bueno, bienvenidos. No se olviden de que Jenny Live se trata de motivacionarnos. Así que si ustedes tienen alguna pregunta que tenga que ver, no sé, les pasó algo el día de hoy o les está pasando algo, pues envíennos un correo, que para eso estamos. Ese es el propósito de este programa, es justamente pues compartir buenas vibras entre nosotros. No se olviden también de que tienen el libro, les avisaré cuando esté completamente en español para imprimir. Por el momento está solamente en Kindle y por supuesto en inglés también. All right, guys, don't forget, why do they keep changing where the QR codes? Where the QR code's right there if you want to get my book. It is out now, and I am finishing up the audio book right now, all right? So let's begin with tonight's topic. Jenny, how do I overcome the fear that I might fail again? I would be worse than when I started. The thing about fear, right? I think fear goes hand in hand with negativity. So, aquí se durmieron. So if you are thinking of doing something, and this is something that is just overwhelming your whole body, first of all, try to identify, how does fear feel? How does it make you feel? Does it make you feel anxious? Does it make you feel like your stomach gets tight, right? And you start getting nervous, and there's a part of you that says you want to do it, and then the other part kind of just wins the overall feeling, and you end up not doing anything at all, because fear goes hand in hand with negativity. Why? Because most of society lives in fear. That is why they are stuck in a loop. They are not progressing and not moving forward. And those that actually have that strength inside of them, or, well, let me rephrase that. We all have that strength inside of us, to that light, right? That warrior light inside of us to move forward and do something and follow our dreams. If you haven't done that yet, it's simply because you're allowing fear to overcome in your life, and you're allowing it to basically just run it. So it's a matter of, well, if you decide today that you're afraid to move forward, that is a choice you're going to have to live with for the rest of your life. So you have two choices. You can decide that and continue to settle, right, for whatever it is that you're thinking is working. Or you can decide to be bold and risky and try again. And with the knowledge that you might fail once again. But you can't start something already thinking that you're going to fail, because you're already making it a success. You're already making that, I'm thinking in Spanish now, you're already making it happen, all right? So what you think is what you actually build. So whenever you do something, you have to put 100% of that optimism behind it, that strength in your mind that is going to work without the process of even having a possibility that you're going to fail. So stop thinking that you're going to fail, because then I would tell you, don't do it. If you're going to do something and you're already thinking that it's not going to go well, then that's just going to attract that possibility that it's not going to go well. You want to make sure that you don't even have those possibilities. Now, of course, you want to be ready for the ifs and buts, right? But not give it enough attention so that it's actually generating so much energy that you end up attracting that failure, which is basically the energy that you're generating when you're afraid of doing exactly that. Whatever it is, it might be a project, it might be, maybe you're in a job and you want to try something new, or maybe you want to launch something that you've never launched before and you're afraid of failing because maybe it didn't work the first time. Take Elon Musk, as I know a lot of you don't like him, but as a great example of how many times he actually failed. And the last one with his last bits of, with the last bit of money that he had was when SpaceX actually became successful. So you have to always look at I guess you could say, great successful people for examples like that. So yeah, that's very simple. It's just, can you live with yourself thinking that you've made the choice to not try again? If you say yes, you can live with yourself because it doesn't bother you one bit, then okay, so be it. But I'd rather continue. I would much recommend for you to continue to try until you don't take no for an answer. There's no other options, really. It's just because you're going to be failing anyway, if you think about it. If you don't try it, you're going to be failing at yourself. You're going to be failing at life anyway because you stopped trying. So don't give yourself that opportunity to fail in either way. Just don't take no for an answer and continue to try, be stubborn as a baby until you get what you want. Of course, I hope it's something good, right? And another thing is that you have to understand that maybe whatever it is that you're aiming towards, whatever it is that you're sending your energy towards right now, and you're thinking about this project, or you're thinking about launching something, maybe it's just not the time yet. A lot of times we become so anxious to do something and finish it and do it now, right? That we forget that there's a time and date to do everything. You have to learn to listen to your intuition. You have to learn to listen to yourself and see, when does it feel good to do this? Is now the time? Yeah, now's the time. But you're just thinking of it because you're anxious and you want to get it over with. Or maybe you could just really take your time with it, don't rush through it, and whenever you really feel like that sense of fear is gone, whenever you feel like that sense of insecurity is gone, then you launch it. And just don't think about it so much. Literally leave it up to the universe, leave it up to destiny to do with it what it must. But if you continue to worry about it, if you continue to, let's say, overload your nervous system with thoughts of this is not going to work, this is not going to work, this is not going to work, well, that's exactly what you're going to be creating, which is this is not going to work. So yeah, you have a choice to make. So either or. Would you prefer to fail by not trying again and settling for less? Or would you prefer to fail, but knowing that you tried again? And if it happens again, it's okay. It's part of your life. Remember that we're here to learn. We're here to progress and grow in a spiritual level. And the only way for us to grow in the spiritual level is by exposing ourselves to these kind of situations of failure. If you never fail, then what kind of humbleness and how much appreciation are you going to have for success overall? I feel like there's so many people today making so many millions of dollars, right, with social media, and you see people that are having they're more old school regular jobs that are oh, well, that's not fair, some people just have it handed over to them in a platter. I just read today that there's this OnlyFans model that made already $100 million on OnlyFans, and a lot of people are hating, others are happy, and I'm well, everybody will go through whatever it is that they need to go through. But the thing is, I would much rather fail trying out something knowing that you build it slowly and from scratch than not having at all that sense of responsibility of knowing what it feels like to not have anything and what it feels like to have everything. So I feel like life is just so much tastier. Life is, you have another appreciation for money, you have another appreciation for yourself, for your self-growth, when things come slowly. So whenever somebody gets something right away, you get everything you wanted, and here's the millions of dollars in checks. Also remember, life is not about money. So even though, yes, it makes it easier, right? Because you're able to then live your dreams that money will facilitate, but that doesn't necessarily give you your energetical growth that you are meant to be getting in this earth. So don't worry so much about why aren't things happening, and just start analyzing more. What is it about, why did I fail before? Where was my mind at? What was I focusing so much on? And maybe you noticed that you were focusing more on fear and of failing than actually putting as a priority those thoughts of you feeling the success, like you're living it, you're breathing it, it's happening, right? And accepting that some things might just take a little more time. How big is your project? Is your project huge? Is it something that requires a lot of time? Oh yeah, but there's other people that launch and they're like, a big hit right away, and it's like, well, whatever, you can't ever compare yourself to others, because your spiritual journey is nothing like somebody else's. We are all so incredibly unique that you are going to go through whatever it is that life needs to teach you. So embrace that and say, well, if I'm failing, what do I have to learn from the situation? Why did I fail the last time? And am I maybe pursuing something that really isn't for me? So are you pursuing something just for the money? That would be the first failure. Are you pursuing something because it moves you inside, it fulfills you, it makes you feel whole inside? Then that would probably have a much more rewarding energy, you would say. So that's something that I would definitely go for. And don't just do things for the money. Do things because it makes you happy, it makes you whole, it makes you have purpose. And never ever be afraid. I think being afraid is one of the things that keeps people stuck. And most of society, maybe 80% of society, stays stuck in the same loop because of fear. So fear should not be your friend. And the first thing also would be to identify when you feel fear. And really, when I mean identify, I mean like really, really pay attention to how your body is reacting when you're thinking about that. Right? Like what I said at the beginning, like does your stomach get tight? Do you feel like you start hyperventilated, or you start maybe like breathing too harsh? Do you start thinking about a million things at the same time that absolutely make no sense whatsoever? And when it happens again, just close your eyes, take a deep breath in, and do your own exercise to get rid of those feelings, to get rid of that tension, to get rid of that anxiousness, which is really what would happen inside of your body. I think we've all been afraid of the dark at some point in our lives when we were kids, maybe. A lot of times it has to do with negative entities being around us, and negative entities provide fear, like I said. Fear is a part of negativity. So if you're afraid, maybe find something physical that you're afraid of, right? If you're afraid of the dark, or if you're afraid of spiders, or if you're afraid, something that you're afraid of that you can physically conquer. Okay, because that will also give you a good self-esteem. So let's say you're afraid of the dark, right? If the fear, whatever fear you have, if it's so strong that you really do get some kind of like physical, response from it that can be dangerous, then I would definitely recommend VR. I think this is when technology can be used to really help us. So get yourself in a deprivation tank, get yourself somewhere, start slowly. Right? Maybe just going dark in a room. There's some people that sleep with the light on. I can be completely naked in the middle of my jungle, right? Or in the middle of any jungle, for that said. And I remember when I just moved here, it would cause fear because I didn't know what was around, the animals, this and that. There would be energies around. And now I'm telling you, I'll go barefoot, butt naked, and walk around the jungle at night without one single drop of fear in me. And it's like, how did I even do this? But it's exposing yourself to it. So if you're afraid of spiders, get yourself exposed to these fears, and you have to face them. You have to face them because that's the only way, and you're the only one that can do this. But if you don't find inside of yourself that strength to really go and say, you're not any bigger than me, and really identifying how you feel when you're afraid, and slowly, going baby steps to really get rid of that emotion, get rid of that nervousness, that anxiety. It's a slow process depending on what it is that you're afraid of. And it also has to do, these fears come from somewhere. They come usually from your childhood. So whatever fears you might have, they're going to be adding on to your overall stage, your overall life. So if you continue to add on more fears and you're not doing anything at all about them, that's going to bring a lot of blockages in the rest of your projects. So if you're like maybe you're trying to do a project and it's not coming out. So maybe you don't have to start by the project. Maybe start not the fear of failure, but why are you afraid of failure to begin with? So maybe do a list and be like, okay, what am I afraid of? Am I afraid of the dark? It might be like really silly stuff. Am I afraid of spiders? Am I afraid of snakes? And go little by little, one by one, starting to face your fears by just understanding that it's all in your mind, because you are in control of your emotions. You're in control of yourself. So you should be in control of those moments, so you could just block them out of you. So it's like, okay, I'm looking at a spider and it's freaking me out. Okay, deep breath in. There's absolutely nothing about that can harm you. The spider is definitely more afraid of you. Trust me. Just put yourself in the life of, imagine you're a spider and you're looking up and there's this really huge person. And it can squish you in a moment. You're looking at a giant right now, and it's freaking out, and it's moving all over the place, and you're like, where am I going? There's a giant on top of me. Right? So it's like, it's just a perspective. It's just a matter of how are you looking at the situation. I can see spiders, I can see scorpions, I can see snakes. I walked around at night in the jungle and I literally almost stepped on a snake. I was completely, I'll walk around pitch black, no problem. And I'm like, oh, sorry, there you go. So it's like you notice that when you just expose yourself to these things, you just totally lose fear for them. And I think it's also a fear of death. A lot of people are afraid of death because they don't know what's after. Once you understand that none of us have our lives bought, right? Like even the people that spend millions of dollars in longevity, it's like, dude, when your time is up, your time is up. If your time is up when you're 30 or 40 or 50, you have no say over that, no matter how healthy you eat. And if your destiny means that you're going to get run over by a bus, then there's nothing you could do about that. It's just your soul has learned or hasn't learned enough that you just need to go somewhere else. So when you learn that there's really nothing to be afraid of, nothing at all, because, well, eventually we're all going to the same place. It's just a matter of, well, how are we getting there? How is our energy evolving when we get there? I would be afraid if you were a really negative person and you die, because then, it's way worse after you're physically alive if you pass away with a lot of negativity. So that just pretty much leaves it to you that you have to live life to the fullest. And not to the fullest where you're like super responsible, but to the fullest where fear should just not have a part in your mind. It shouldn't be a part of your life. So understanding why did you start having these moments of insecurity, because that's really what it is. It's insecurity, and face them. And actually, there's a whole book on confidence. Sorry, there's a whole chapter in my book about confidence, and it talks about this exercises that you could do to really just I guess you could say, kind of like rewire your brain to thinking back on your childhood, which is usually where these traumas come from. Maybe it was something so silly as like your parents yelling at you so much that you felt helpless, right? Like that silly. Or maybe it was something really dark that happened to you that you completely blocked it out, and that's when the fears started becoming a part of your life. Because when we're children and when we're pure, we're bold. We don't think, we're unapologetic. We don't think before we speak. We say what's in our minds. We run, we jump, we fall, we get up again, we cry, we laugh. And that's how we should continue to be for the rest of our lives. It's just getting back to that innocence. And the only way of doing that is really understanding, when did that innocence start breaking? When did we lose that sense of energy that we have inside, that inner child, and why? And now that you're an adult, you have the intelligence to deduce certain things, 1+1 is 2, and go back in time and start thinking of start meditating and thinking, where does your mind take you when you think of fear? And you're going to end up literally seeing yourself in situations that you never thought were even a part of your life, because you probably don't even remember, you don't even remember them. And just rewiring yourself and your brain to think it's okay. If it happened, it's because maybe you were a kid and it wasn't your fault, right? So that feeling of seeing it from another perspective, from a third person, right, will definitely help you heal those moments of fear. And it's just going baby steps, one by one. Don't expect to all of a sudden get rid of all your fears from one day to the next, but it is going to take some time. The important thing is that you start. So fear of failure and everything that has to do in your life most likely will come from things that have happened in your life that have caused you to have that insecurity about yourself, and that is why your projects are not being sufficient or not being successful. So maybe we're looking at it the wrong way. Maybe we should be looking at it, well, what is it about my energy that I need to fix? That I need to go back in my own lifeline, even if it's going back to when I was a kid, and start healing. And once you start healing and your energy becomes brighter, more peaceful, more calm, you're going to notice that life just becomes easy. And I'm not, not easy in like a sleazy way, like easy in like a, whatever you think, you literally make it become a reality. Like, I don't even know how to explain it without it sounding like it's magic, but it's like magic, like whatever you want, what do you want? And don't get greedy. It's not like, oh, I want millions of dollars. No. What do you want for fulfillment? What do you want to really say, I am fulfilled? And I know it's not just money. You can't just want money. A lot of people think that's going to be the healing to all their problems, and that's definitely not the case. And if anything, if you get too much money and you're not prepared to handle it, it might just be the end of you. So what do you really want? And usually we all want the same thing, which is love, health, right? And to be comfortable financially. That is what you should really be aiming towards. That is the perfect balance of energy. So if there's one of those that is not working correctly, then start digging. Don't wait. If you were to go to a therapist, it would probably take you years to do this, but you can start digging and start doing it yourself every night before you go to sleep. Just sit in the bed, right? Close your eyes, take a deep breath. Think of that fear that you're having, that you already know is there, and put it aside and start thinking of things that make you afraid, and start evaluating, why are you afraid, and when did you start being afraid of that? Like, did something happen? Was there a trigger somewhere in your life that made that negative gene, let's call it that, or that negative energy basically wake up in your lifeline? Muy bien, amigos. Me fui mucho en inglés, lo siento. Vamos a ver uno de ustedes. Me encantan cuando preguntan cosas así, porque siempre hay mucha gente que pasa por lo mismo. Dice, Jenny, ¿cómo puedo superar el miedo de volver a fallar, de volver a fracasar? Porque sería peor de cuando empecé. Yo creo que lo peor de todo es, guys, we're live, by the way. ¿Cómo te llamas? Hola, música. Mi nombre es Jenny. ¿Cómo estás? Estamos en vivo. A ver si nos están viendo en vivo, porque sé que a veces tenemos una compilación en el canal, pero ahí ven la hora y es hora Tulum. El miedo, chicos. Ay. Bueno, primero que todo hay que identificar de que los miedos vienen por algo. y vienen de alguna parte. Entonces, no es que de repente tengo miedo al fracaso, porque ya he fracasado un montón de veces. Me gusta usar el ejemplo de Elon Musk, que ya sé, hay muchos más que han fracasado y eventualmente fueron exitosos, pero pues él, con la cantidad de veces que ha fracasado, y lo último que le quedaba en el banco que invirtió, y fue cuando SpaceX pues tuvo éxito, nunca perdió la positividad, nunca perdió la motivación, siempre fue el que motivaba al equipo que seguía fallando, de que no pasaba nada, de que vuelvan a intentar. Entonces, tomen eso como ejemplo. Pero hay algo mucho más profundo sobre el miedo, que es que por algo lo tienes, es parte de una inseguridad interna. Entonces, ¿en qué momento? O sea, miren un niño, ¿no? Cuando nosotros somos niños, no solamente eres puro, no solamente eres pues audaz, no eres, en inglés la palabra es unapologetic, o sea, no pides perdón por nada, dices lo que está en tu mente, juegas, tropiezas, lloras, ríes, pues aprendes, ¿no? Y en realidad nunca paramos de aprender. Entonces tenemos que volver a ser ese niño de que en realidad no le teme a absolutamente nada. Y yo siento y creo realmente que muchas de las cosas que nos dan esas inseguridades y esos miedos tienen que ver pues con nuestra infancia, tienen que ver con situaciones que han pasado que muchas veces hemos también bloqueado completamente de nuestra mente, ¿no? Porque el cerebro hace eso, o sea, automáticamente nos pone un bloqueo para que no volvamos a sufrir. Y esos miedos son totalmente mentales, o sea, son bloqueos mentales que nos hemos puesto a nosotros mismos para poder protegernos, para poder resguardarnos. Y si tú tienes un miedo de alguna falla, de algo que te haya sucedido de cuando eras más pequeño, va a reflejarse en que no seas exitoso en una vida mayor. Porque tú puedes decir, bueno, tengo miedo al fracaso. Normalmente eso tiene que ver con, pues la pregunta creo que tiene que ver con proyectos y un tema monetario, ¿no? O sea, estaría mucho peor que antes, estaría en la calle si realmente vuelvo a fracasar en este próximo proyecto. Entonces yo te diría, no vuelvas a lanzar hasta que enfrentes tus miedos que parecen tontos. ¿Qué quiere decir? Si tú tienes miedo a la oscuridad, si tú tienes miedo a las arañas, si le tienes miedo, no sé, a las víboras, si le tienes miedo a lo que sea físico y puedas poder luchar contra ese miedo, realmente ponerte como en una posición de que, bueno, le tengo miedo a las arañas, voy a ir a un zoológico, me voy a poner en un cuarto con arañas. Obviamente no lo hagan, o sea, en este caso te diría, usa la realidad virtual, para eso está. Creo de que la realidad virtual es una de las cosas, una de las tecnologías más beneficiosas cuando se trata de pues combatir los miedos, porque tienes por lo menos el control de poder salir, ¿no? Si se vuelve muy agitante el momento de estrés que tienes, porque hay personas que les da hasta hiperventilación, ¿no? No queremos que te dé un paro cardíaco o algo si te expones muy rápidamente a algo al cual le tienes miedo. Pero por algo existió esa prendidita, digamos, esa luz de negatividad, porque realmente es negatividad. El 80% de la población vive en miedo, por eso no progresa, porque tienen miedo de fracasar. Entonces, olvídate del proyecto que tengas y antes de lanzarlo, fíjate pues qué inseguridades tienes, qué miedos tienes, porque esos miedos que vas sumando, que llevan a la inseguridad que tienes de poder lanzar un proyecto y que salga exitoso y no fracasar, son justamente los que se están acumulando y que hacen que tu energía irradie fracaso. Entonces tú no puedes pretender ser exitoso en algo si tú de por sí ya al principio, antes de lanzar el proyecto, estás pensando que eres un fracasado. Entonces, primero evaluar de dónde vienen los miedos y por qué vienen los miedos. Y lo más lindo de todo es que cuando ya somos adultos tenemos esa posibilidad y ese punto de vista de mirar, pueden mirarse como un tercero, ¿no? Y decir, a ver, yo le tengo miedo a la oscuridad. Por ejemplo, ¿no? Yo cuando era chiquita, no le tengo miedo a la oscuridad hoy, pero digo, cuando era chiquita le tenía mucho miedo a la oscuridad. En mi campo en Uruguay hay un pasillo muy largo, me acuerdo que corría de un lado al otro, prendía la luz, volvía a correr, apagaba la luz y volvía. O sea, no podía estar en un lugar a oscuras porque sentía las presencias de entidades que habían ahí, que hasta el día de hoy creo que todavía hay, el mes que viene me voy para allá. Y eso también es algo que quiero que entiendan. Los miedos vienen aparejado, mano y mano, con la negatividad. Entonces tú no puedes permitir que exista negatividad en tu vida o alrededor tuyo, porque eso va a reflejar en absolutamente todo lo que quieras hacer, desde amor a trabajo, ¿no? Y hasta salud. Entonces, primero es todo lo que tú puedas sanar por ti mismo, en poder superar esos miedos de forma mental, de forma hacerte una autorregresión, podríamos decir, pero no tan profunda. Solamente estamos hablando de literal cerrando los ojos y pensar en que, bueno, le tienes miedo al fracaso de este proyecto porque ya has fracasado. Bien, vamos a dejar eso a un lado. ¿A qué más le tienes miedo? Bueno, le tengo miedo a las arañas. Ok. ¿Y por qué le tienes miedo a las arañas? Realmente cierra los ojos, piensa y recuerda en qué momento u otro te empezó a dar miedo a algo que es tan diminuto, tan pequeño, que pues si usas la lógica, imagínate tú siendo una araña y mirando hacia arriba y viendo un gigante que de repente está gritando y ¡ah! O sea, y pensando de que me va a matar en cualquier momento porque con que me pise soné, ¿no? O sea, morí. O sea, te tiene más miedo a la pobre araña de lo que vos tendrías que tenerle. Entonces, son cosas que realmente son ridículas. Yo cuando me mudé a la selva, no era que me daban miedo las arañas ni nada de eso, pero uno como que automáticamente reacciona como todo el mundo que está en la ciudad. Ve un ratón y, un ratón. Ahora me pueden pasar acá ratones, arañas, serpientes, culebras, lo que sea, escorpiones, y yo como que, ahí va el escorpión. He estado haciendo el programa y de repente pasa una tarántula del tamaño de mi mano y yo, pobrecita la tarántula, o sea, está paseando, estamos en su hogar en realidad. Pero todos son formas de ver las cosas, o sea, tú tienes posibilidades. Entonces, el darte cuenta y sacando lógica de que muchos de tus miedos son realmente estúpidos, lo siento, pero es verdad, y que si no puedes superarlos por tu propia cuenta, entonces realmente no te mereces el éxito que estás buscando. Lo siento porque soy muy cruda con mis palabras, pero es así, porque tú te vas a empezar a merecer las cosas que estás buscando una vez puedas superarte a ti mismo. Y necesitas superarte a ti mismo por tu propio mérito, o sea, sin necesidad de otra persona. Tienes que tener esa fuerza interna de decir, ¿por qué le tengo miedo a tal cosa? ¿Por qué le tengo miedo a tal otra? O sea, ¿qué pasó cuando yo era chico? Y cierra los ojos y realmente piensa y di, ¿en qué momento me quebré? ¿En qué momento se quebró mi inocencia? Que empecé a tenerle miedo a todo, empecé a tenerle miedo a la vida. Y te vas a dar cuenta que muchas veces viene de situaciones que ni siquiera te acuerdas, porque tu cerebro ha generado ese bloqueo para protegerte. Entonces, eso es crecer, eso es, pues, progresar internamente, hacer crecer tu energía. Y cuanto más te vas a ir quitando de esos miedos, en el momento que tú realmente sientas que vas a poder lanzar ese proyecto y puedes respirar y pensar y imaginarte ese proyecto y realmente decir, va a ser un éxito porque ya lo viste, lo visualizaste y lo atrajiste, ya está. Y si no sucede, es porque simplemente no es el momento correcto y todavía no te lo mereces. También puede ser que no sea algo para ti. Entonces pregúntate, ¿por qué estoy siguiendo este proyecto? ¿Lo estoy haciendo solo por dinero? No va a servir. O lo estoy haciendo porque realmente es algo que me motiva, me llena y me da propósito. Entonces, hay muchas veces que la gente le pone mucho énfasis a ciertas cosas solo por el hecho de que es dinero rápido, es dinero fácil. Y ese no es el motivo de la vida. Sí, el dinero es importante, pero créeme de que ganar dinero rápido de un día al otro, pues para muchas personas es el fin de su vida. Entonces, no creas de que porque, qué suerte esa persona que tiene 100 millones de dólares, y yo te puedo decir, también tiene 100 millones de problemas. O sea, serán otro tipo de problemas, pero tienes que estar tras cosas que realmente te llenen espiritualmente, te llenen energéticamente. Y eso va a hacer de que solito los temas donde quizás menos pensabas, y pueden ser en el tema monetariamente, empiezan a llegar quizás con proyectos que ni siquiera habías pensado. Entonces, que una persona de repente sea influencer y haga como el negrito de TikTok, ¿no? Que vendió su imagen por 978 millones de dólares. Qué bien, felicidades, o sea, se lo merece. pero no son suertes. O sea, por algo, por algo eso fue parte de su, eso tiene que ser parte de su vida, o sea, tiene que ser parte de la energía de esa persona y no es la vida tuya, o sea, no es tu línea de vida. Entonces tú tienes que ver qué es lo que tú tienes que experimentar en esta vida para poder tener ese golpe de lo que le podrían decir suerte, ¿no? Pero también evalúa todo alrededor, o sea, ¿qué más tienes? Entonces, no todo, o sea, todo lo que vemos en las redes, todo lo que vemos al público, siempre se habla de dinero, pero ¿cuándo ves de que es noticia de que, ay, porque tienen hace 100 años que están casados y es noticia mundial? ¿A quién le importa? O sea, no, hacemos noticias, lo que sea material, lo que sea de shock, ¿no? O sea, llama la atención porque es terror o porque murieron. Si tú miras la noticia, si ves porque murieron 5, pues no es noticia. Murieron 100.000. ¡Oh, qué horrible! ¿Viste? Entonces nosotros mismos ya tenemos ese sistema. Así que no lo tomes todo como que, o sea, más bien es decir, ¿por qué estoy fracasando? ¿Por qué solamente están llegando? Me enfoco en proyectos y no salen bien y para de enfocarte en el dinero, trata de enfocarte en ti mismo, qué puedes cambiar, qué puedes arreglar y saca los miedos de tu vida, empezando por los que ves como más insignificantes, porque cada uno que empiezas a quitar va a hacer de que tu energía esté más pura, cosa de que cuando te llegue la oportunidad para poder hacer un proyecto, entonces tenga esa fuerza energética para que el proyecto realmente sea un éxito, ¿va? Muy bien, amigos, se nos fue la hora. Espero de que hayan disfrutado. Muchísimas gracias por escuchar. No se olviden de que el libro ya está y de hecho sí hay un capítulo que habla sobre nuestro amor propio y tiene los ejercicios para poder combatir esos miedos. Un abrazo grande, que estén bien y nos vemos probablemente mañana a la misma hora aquí en Jenny Live. All right, guys, see you next time in Jenny Live. I hope you had a great evening and don't forget, follow your heart, follow your dreams, and definitely face those fears. There's no other way around it. Bye, guys.